Coming up on today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, is Justin Fields actually trending up? Some numbers that back that up. NFL Analyst, we'll name that person in a moment, ripped Luke Getsy earlier today in regards to Fields. We'll explain. I'll give my reaction. And does Matt Eberflus really think the Bears have momentum? You got to hand it to the guy. He always remains positive. We'll dive into all that here coming up in just a little bit. But first, who likes my t-shirt? I gotta lift it up a little bit for you guys. Got a bear going down the elevator. Bear down. If you like this shirt, like this video, and hey, if you really like it and want to get one of your own, DM me on social media. We can get you pointed in the right direction. My wife found this shirt for me. So if you're a fan of this t-shirt, like the video, I would greatly appreciate it. All right, let's talk about Justin Fields here. Is he trending up? Well, statistically, the answer to that is yes. I saw some people talking about this on social media, found it pretty interesting. His past 5 starts, completing almost 69% of his passes. Very nice, if you ask me. 212.2 passing yards per game. He'd like that to still be a little bit higher, but with his rushing, which you can see on screen, that's still pretty good total yardage per game. 9 touchdown passes against just 2 interceptions. QB rating of almost 110. Does have 3 lost fumbles, which we talked about after the Minnesota game. I think that's the biggest flaw in his game right now is he fumbles too much. But obviously when looking at this, you can't ignore the 4 games he missed. 3 of these games were before the injury, 2 were after. Now, it's kind of a double-edged sword. For him to come back after those games and actually put up some good numbers, that's positive after a month off. But the negative is obviously you can't have your quarterback missing games all the time. So kind of a two-pronged thing there. But those numbers in a 5-game sample size recently, pretty good, which with 5 games to go, if he can repeat those, if not do more, do better, that would obviously be an ideal outcome, right? I mean, we've talked about this really throughout the bye week. The opportunity is there for this football team. And for Justin Fields, it's kind of a good mixture of winnable games, but still some tough opponents. Like Detroit this week's not going to be easy. At Cleveland, obviously for the defense, I love that matchup, but that Browns defense is tough as hell, so that's going to be a good challenge for Justin Fields. Cardinals play hard, but winnable game at the same time. Falcons, they've been competitive. They have a chance to win their division. And then Green Bay's playing a lot better. So that's obviously, going to be a challenge as well. But at the same time, all these games this isn't murderer's row. This isn't the Chiefs and the Eagles and the Bills when they're playing well, the 49ers, something like that. These are winnable football games here. And I said this before the last Lions game. When Fields came back for the final 7 games, this is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see at least a 2-to-1 touchdown to turnover ratio for the rest of the season. He has not reached that at this point in time. He's got to lower the sack rate. He has done that. He's got to play in all 7 games. Well, he's played in the 2 so far. We'll see what the remaining 5 are. Needs to win 4 of them, 1-1, so we'll see. Complete 65% of his passes or more. He's way ahead of that, around 70% in the 2 games since he's been back. And then continue to build that elite chemistry with DJ Moore. I think that's been on display all year, so I'm not concerned with that bullet point at all. The opportunity's there. 5 games to go. We'll see if Justin can do it. And, it's a combination of playing well in the big moments, and obviously winning games. So that the winning part isn't completely in his control, but obviously he can carry a heavy weight in the outcomes of these football games. Fill in the blank. The Bears will win blank of their final 5 games. Will they win 2 of their final 5? 3, 4, all 5, 0. How many do you guys think they're going to win down the stretch? Drop a number in the comments right now. Luke Getsy catching strays, not even strays. These are direct bullets at him from Louis Riddick, ESPN, who's former front office exec with the Eagles and with Washington back in the day. Now he's been an analyst for ESPN for a number of years. He was basically asked on Get Up today, would you keep Justin Fields or would you move on? And he's firmly in the keep Fields camp for next year, and that Luke Getsy's been the bigger problem. Here's what he had to say. He says, there's so many questions around the play caller and whether or not they're putting him in positions to succeed. That's not to absolve Justin of his own issues, as he has some, and he has some. But there's a lot bigger issue going on here. Like, how does the offense with Tyson Bagent look one way? Then when Justin goes out there, it looks like, hey, Justin, just drop back and do something. From week to week, it's so inconsistent from the plan of attack standpoint. I don't know how the kid can settle in. The part that stood out to me is something we've talked about a lot here. Inconsistent from week to week. That's really what stood out to me, because sometimes, like the Detroit game a couple of weeks ago, until the very end of the game, you liked the game plan. Like he got Fields on the move. They took some shots downfield. Like you're like, yes, this is what you want to do. There's been times where we've seen Luke Getsy play to Fields' strengths and do things that make sense, but it's so inconsistent, not only from week to week, but within ball games. And it is hard to create momentum that way for a young player. And coming up, I'm really going to outline the conclusion I've come to when it comes to Luke Getsy. Not that he can't improve, just like players, coaches can improve as well. But I think I've come to a conclusion through almost 2 years of him calling plays what his biggest issue is. And I'm not really sure he can fix it enough to the point where I would bring him back next season. But before we get to that, I do want to shout out today's sponsor. That is Rocket Money. The holidays are here, folks. And look, we're all spending a little more money right now, Christmas shopping, whatever the case may be, end of year stuff that you got to take care of. And listen, it's tough. You got to create these budgets. You got to figure out where you can cut back. And Rocket Money, a personal finance app, can find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help you lower your bills all in one place. What if I told you that you could lower your bills by up to 20%? Is that something you might be interested in? Ever watch Entourage? Shout out Bob Ryan. But it's true. All you got to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money will take care of the rest for you and get you the best offers out there. They will even let you set budgets and send you text reminders like, hey, you're closing in on this budget for this month. Maybe cut back the next couple of days. Rocket Money does it all. They cancel your subscriptions you don't want. And what I mean by that is they'll list them all out on one screen for you. You see an example that was on your screen right there. Netflix, Hulu. Hey, I don't want to pay for Netflix anymore. Click cancel. Boom. They're going to take care of it because the reality is you're probably spending a lot more money on subscriptions that you either forgot about or just you don't really use anymore. RocketMoney.com/Bears now. Download the link or use the link to download the app today and start saving money with Rocket Money. 5 million users and counting, and they have helped save customers over $1 billion total dollars. It's Rocket Money, rocketmoney.com/Bears now. Okay, here's my Luke Getsy analysis. I came to this conclusion a couple of weeks ago, and I think I'm still there. Luke Getsy actually somewhat often has decent to good plan A's. Like we see it all the time. The early game script, they drive down and score, and even for a couple of drives, it looks good. But here's what happens. Good coaches in this league adjust, like we saw it with Brian Flores in Minnesota a couple weeks ago. And he's not a good counter adjuster. Like he seems to have a good plan A lot of the time. But guess what? Your plan A rarely works for 4 quarters. Like Washington, rare example of that. They wanted to take shots downfield, which is a strength of Fields, and they did it early and often, and Washington never figured out to cover DJ Moore for some reason. But typically, good coaches, not even superstar coaches and teams, they're going to be like, okay, this is what they're trying to do. Let's counter that by switching to this coverage, this blitz package, etc. Well, good offensive coordinators have counters for that. Getsy never does. Like he never gets to plan B or can find a counter to what opposing teams start doing. So again, like, has he designed a pretty good running attack? And at times, does it look good with Justin and doesn't make sense? Yeah. But then when he has to try something different, he either doesn't or is incapable of doing so. So I just don't think he's good enough, at least at this point in his coaching career, to be a high-level play caller. And again, I'm with Riddick. I'm not absolving Justin Fields. Like, I'm still fine if they move on and go to a different quarterback. I'm just saying I think there are bigger issues here. Not just Justin, but also with Luke Getsy. Okay, who do you think is the bigger problem? And both of them carry some blame here, there's no doubt. Type JF for Justin Fields, LG for Luke Getsy. I would lean Getsy, but believe me, there are weaknesses in Fields' game. Okay, subscribe to the channel if you want to watch more videos, daily basis here. 2+ videos per day. We go live 3 times per week, Monday, Thursday, and game day. So that means we'll be live tomorrow afternoon, and we'll be live on Sunday as well for Bears versus Lions. So do not miss out on any of that. It's youtube.com/Bears now. Hit that subscribe button for more coverage. Okay, we'll wrap things up with this. Flus, does he see momentum? I mean, sometimes when he talks, like, I take it in and I'm like, does he actually believe that? I think he actually does. I mean, listen, there's half glass full and then there's Flus on the scale of that. He thinks the Bears are building momentum. Here's what he had to say earlier. He said, Obviously, you want the wins, right? The wins, that's the biggest frustration. When are you going to get wins? You keep doing things the right way, you keep doing things right, and then all of a sudden the wins will come. Well, first of all, this quote to me is so year one stuff when you're in a rebuild year, which the Bears were last year. This would have been a quote 6 games into that 10-game losing streak. Hey, we just got to keep doing things the right way. This is a transition year, or we've rebuilt this roster. If we keep sticking to our, to our coaching and to our technique and all that, the wins will come. Well, we're in year 2. We're late into year 2. That shouldn't be a year 2 quote. He continued with this. He said, "I know it's been slow. You're damn right. And I know Chicago Bears fans, as we do, want more wins. You can certainly see that momentum start to change. We're certainly optimistic for that." Now, let me just give you the literal definition of momentum. This is it. Strength or force gained by motion or by a series of events. Now, when we talk about momentum in football or in sport or whatever, it's not about the physical nature of momentum. It's about the series, so this would fall into the series of events. You stack a couple of wins in a row, you can feel the metaphor of what momentum is, right? It's not, the physical doesn't really apply here. But to me, when I think of momentum in sport, I think about teams who have stacked wins, 3 in a row, 4 out of 5, 6 out of 8. You're 7-22. You've never won back-to-back wins or games. You've only beaten a team above 500 once, and at one point you suffered a 14-game losing streak. Yeah, you can keep telling us how you're 4-4 in your last 8. That's not momentum. That's stuck in the mud at best. And in your career as this team's head coach, it's been the opposite of momentum. You know what momentum you had at one point? Not being able to win for almost a calendar year. That's momentum. It's just not the momentum you want. So, listen, do I think this team has improved over the last couple months? Yeah, look, 4-4 over an 8-game stretch is certainly better than what was it before that, 3-18. So, yeah, there's improvement, but there's a difference between minor improvement and clear momentum. You beat Detroit, and then maybe you go to Cleveland and win. That'd be 3 wins in a row against some decent teams. Okay, that's momentum. There's no momentum yet. Let's not talk about momentum when you're 4-8 and has still have not won 2 games in a row this year. Let's pump the brakes. Let's take it one day at a time, and we'll see where things stack up here in a couple of weeks. So grade Matt Eberflus as a head coach. A, B, C, D, or F. D-? Maybe it's not a straight up F because we have seen some improvement, but it's not a passing grade. You put it on the how do you graduate college scale, you didn't pass. So I'd go D-. It's marginal improvement, but the bar is low. We got to reach higher when it comes to this stuff. All right, guys, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Remember, if you like this shirt, like the video, hit me up if you're interested in this t-shirt. I'd have to hit up my wife and see where she found it, but she said there were some cool other shirts as well, so maybe you guys can find yourself a Christmas present. Go check it out today. Hit that like button if you're a fan of the shirt. We'll see you guys tomorrow for more content.